All right. So we're going to get back to the review video on the Jubilee thing. Now, I'm going to have to speed it up one. The playback speed, and not only the playback speed, but I'm going to make like less of a commentary on it, just to let you guys know. And two, if you're wondering why I'm wearing this hoodie, by the way, it's because it's freaking freezing over here. So yeah. Anyways, let's get to it.
Diseases from the outside, and they could be dead today. Within our care, presumably on an ethical farm, I think we can all agree, like I said, factory farming, unethical. But on an ethical farm, we are taking the animals into our own care. We are giving them that guarantee of being fed today. They have that shelter today. We have that bond with them today. And we create this beautiful relationship where we understand that this animal will nourish us. Therefore, we want to nourish this animal, take care of it the best that we possibly can. But when it comes to eating animals for food, that is a reality that has been with us for the beginning of our existence.
Capitalism didn't exist at the beginning or
So I'm going to say right now, she's buying in too much to their argument. The argument should not be about whether or not we're keeping animals alive. In my opinion, this is kind of stupid because this is not what the argument is. The argument has nothing to do with the rights of the animal. The argument has more so to do with the health of the human. So that's what the argument should be. But sadly, right now, the carnivores are buying into this narrative a little bit too much on it's all about the animals and not enough about the health of the human. So, but I mean, we'll see if anybody brings that up.
That has been with us for the beginning of our existence.
So we're gonna let a vegan lady on the left speak because she said something else. Capitalism
exist at the beginning or beginning of our existence, and I don't think that it is a reality because there's 4 people sitting here living proof that veganism is also a reality and also an option.
Yeah, if you want to look unhealthy. I mean,
and third, I would say that
you could even see in her face, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's not really super clear, but there is definitely inflammation going on here. There is clear inflammation. Her face is very puffy, and that's not normal. And this guy is well, I think you could sort of see it yourself as well. There's definitely some inflammation going on here as well.
There is no nourishing the animal, and the animal didn't have to be brought into existence in the first place. And as a vegan, I don't think that most of us support the breeding of dogs or pets either. And when we rescue our animals, they don't have the demise of being slaughtered at the end.
All animals get slaughtered at the end, actually, even in nature. The slaughtering process is much slower, though. Actually, it's being called eaten by a pack of wolves. I gotta be honest. Like the arguments here, a lot of the arguments here are actually, they're like, I mean, once again, this is like elementary school arguments. I'm going to be honest. If you understand any sort of like basic ecology, you'd be like, this is complete BS. Like, what? You can't keep the herbivore alive forever, because if you do, you get a situation where the one specific population overbreeds. There's no basically thing to keep that predator in check, or that thing in check, or maybe it could be even a prey animal like the deer, for instance, in Yellowstone, that I'm aware of anyways. There's nothing to keep them in check, and lo and behold, now you got like a devastation of that area because they're eating everything, and they're eating everything quicker than it can grow. So it's like in my opinion, kind of stupid, right? Like, what's the argument here? Your argument's pretty poor. It's kind of invalid. What are you trying to tell me? Like, once again, this is a no-brainer to me, but
never slaughter my dog. When you're talking about caring for animals that aren't
We're
animals,
not talking about slaughtering
you mentioned that
at the same time, dogs provide. Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned bringing a dog into your home and how we have this relationship with our dogs or cats or other animals in our home, and compared that to animals that are used for food. I would never end my dog's life by killing them or murdering them.
No, you should. What are you talking about? Isn't that euthanizing your dog? There's like a word for that. It's called euthanizing your dog. If your dog's suffering, you're gonna kill your dog, okay? You're gonna put it out of its misery. You don't want him suffering there, feeling constant pain signals because, like, I don't know, whatever reason. The whole Old Yeller thing. I don't know if you've ever. I don't really know Old Yeller. All I know is something along the lines of the dog dies in the end, something like that, right? So, I mean, there's a word for this. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, you will kill your own animal if you have to. That's literally what euthanizing your dog is. But I mean, all right.
want to be very clear. I would
Your
not
dollar and your consumer choice is promoting and supporting the killing of these animals that feel the same feelings as our dogs that we bring into our home.
What? No, they don't. What are you talking about? Dog. Okay. There's a couple of things here. First off, you're saying that animals in his case, he's saying not just dogs, but it's assuming that he's referring to animals. Animals, as a general rule, are feeling the same feelings that we feel towards our species, right? Like, for instance, we care for our baby and we feel this sort of empathy and that sort of stuff. Okay, so no, that actually doesn't apply to every animal. In fact, sometimes it's quite the opposite. So if you don't already know, Mr. Vegan guy over here, he doesn't clearly know this. Animals will literally eat their own offspring, okay? Like that, you don't have like an empathetic feeling while you're eating your own offspring. You can't, okay? That doesn't make any sense. You're not eating that baby that you just created alive specifically because you're going, oh, you know what? For some reason, I just feel really drawn to it and I just absolutely love my own child and I can't wait for them to explore the world as I completely eat them alive. Like, no, what? Once again, so no, animals do not feel the same things than humans do. They definitely don't feel the same things if this wasn't clear enough as it is. I mean, I literally made a video on this. It's called, what was it? Something on morality. Can't remember. But basically, the bottom line is it's like this whole morality argument towards veganism doesn't make any sense. Like, the argument is so poor and invalid that it's a complete lack of basic philosophy and understanding. Like, some of the most basic things are just completely thrown away. It's like, oh, you know what? Animals actually have a responsibility. Like, okay, I'll explain it a little bit. So, animals have a responsibility. No, actually, they don't. They can't even comprehend responsibility for that matter. They're not designed to do that because they don't have the mental faculties to do that. We can do that. Now, you might say, that's not such a big deal, right? No, it is. Because if you're torturing something and you're making it feel an obscene amount of pain, like us humans, for instance, we were to torture a dog for the fun of it, then we would be put in prison and we would be locked up, basically. Or if in the US anyways, you would. And it depends on where the animal laws that you're in. But if you were somewhere else, for instance, let's say you were in some other country and you were to do the same thing, that doesn't necessarily apply. Okay, first off, when it comes to this morality argument, it doesn't make sense because the animals don't have responsibility and therefore they cannot be held accountable in the court of law. So you're not going to throw the animal in the court of law and go, well, he has violated our laws because he has inflicted extreme amounts of pain and animal cruelty on this thing. Like, you're not going to put your cat, your house cat, in the court of law and subject them to jail time because they made a mouse completely suffer and absolutely hate its life. Like, that is animal. What that cat is doing to that mouse is animal cruelty. I don't know if you've ever seen how cats deal with their prey sometimes, especially mice for that matter. They will literally torture them, rip their legs off, and inflict multiple puncture wounds in that mouse, and then let it go and let it try to run away, and then repeatedly do that over and over again, okay? If a human were to do that, that's animal cruelty. But if the cat does that, that's not animal cruelty. Because, like, once again, this is because they're not held accountable to the same laws, because they don't even have the mental faculties to do so. They can't even speak, they can't even represent themselves in the court of law for that matter. Like, Jesus Christ. They can't even try to say, I'm not guilty or guilty, right? Like, this is a no-brainer. Oh my God. Whatever. This is the argument, in my opinion. This is such a poor argument. It shouldn't even be talked about. There are far better things to talk about than this argument. But
when we bring a dog into our home, aren't we receiving a benefit from that? We are receiving companionship. In return, we are giving this dog food, house, shelter, and love. Same thing for when we eat animals. We are,
do you personally do that to the animals that you eat, or do you just assume it's happening behind doors that you've never seen?
I mean,
let's let the vegan speak, even though I'm pretty sure the argument's poor.
Aren't we receiving a benefit from that? We are receiving companionship. In return, we are giving this dog food, house, shelter, and love. Same thing for when we eat animals. Do you personally do that to the animals that you eat, or do you just assume it's happening behind doors that you've never seen?
Oh, okay. So she's basically trying to say the whole, oh my god, well, this is happening to all animals anyways. So in my opinion, once again, this is like extremely poor argument. Okay. It's like, it's a poor argument, I guess, for the wrong, for another reason. Like, yes, obviously, when you are mass breed, well, in my opinion, you shouldn't be doing this whole factory farming thing. You should be doing Alan Savory's method when it comes to producing all of this meat and actually regenerative farming. Because Alan Savory's method seems to not only regenerate the soil around wherever the herd animals are, which is extremely important. It also is able to feed for whoever is there at the time as well. So basically, you could feed yourself off of these herd animals as well as let them undesertify all of this land that we have, which, by the way, we have like an extremely large amount of desertified land in the world. It's agricultural land, especially in the world. It's like 30-something%, if I remember correctly. I think 30% of the land's arid. Anyways, so yeah, this is like, yes. So I'll agree with the vegan on, yes, it's not ideal. I think there's a better method, but then even then they'd be like, well, don't kill the herd animals, right? And it's like, well, you kind of have to, okay? Like, I mean, it's called, once again, Anvo already said this before. It's called the cycle of life. I mean, there's a reason why.
Make that highly conscious decision to make sure I'm voting with my dollar to support the highest quality livelihood for animals. But I am very...
Yeah, like I said, she's buying too much into the vegan argument. She shouldn't even be buying into this. This argument should not be about, hey, whether or not you should be making an animal feel pain. This argument should be about what's optimal for my health.
I'm in contact with the farmers that I'm sourcing my meat from. Have you visited a regenerative farm? Have you met
Yeah,
local
I
ranchers
actually
and
have
local
a bachelor's
farmers?
degree in sustainability, and I did an extensive project on regenerative farming.
Yeah, so this right here is a great example in my. So okay, I'm gonna try not to hate on anybody here, but in my opinion, this degree on sustainability is worthless. It's completely worthless. If you don't already know, in fact, I think most college degrees are pretty worthless for that matter. They don't really tell you much. So, like, here's a really this is sort of sad, but here's sort of an example for you to see what I mean. So, it's really easy actually. Like these sustainability classes, for instance, to pass them. And just to give you an example of how easy it is and how ridiculous it is, or at least for me anyways, it is, because this is like common sense sort of stuff. And for that matter, you also have to like know their propaganda of what they're talking about as well, which is a little bit weird because there is actually like a little bit of propaganda in that field as well. Anyways, I actually recently took a I don't know if I should say it. Well, okay, I recently took a sustainability class. I didn't study ever. In fact, I never even attended a lecture at all, okay? Like, I did nothing in that class except show up to the exams and to the quizzes and all that stuff. And I have an 87%. Now, if you don't know how ridiculous that is, okay, that's insane. In my opinion, that is like, insane is an understatement. That's ridiculous, okay? I did nothing, okay? And I still passed, basically. Like, this degree, the degree, in my opinion, is completely a degree, in my opinion, is basically worthless because it doesn't actually tell you much. If anything, it tells you, hey, you are somewhat interested in this subject and you have spent a little bit of time, or you have spent you are willing to show that you have spent time in the subject. But otherwise, it's, once again, in my opinion, the degree is completely worthless. It does not tell you whether or not the person is able to use their brain. Which I think based on the arguments I've already disproved from her, I don't think she knows how to use her brain in this case. Like, some of these arguments are so poor. It's like, really? This is the best argument that you can come up with? But
Have the same questions. I've been exposed to the same things when I was vegan. I was in the vegan community for 6 years. For me, when it was too far is when I lost my period.
Thank you. So clearly we can see Steak and Butter Gal has finally or hopefully anyways, it looks like she's starting to shift the frame towards the other side, which is, hey, this is not about the animals, and this is not about whether or not you're making animals like suffer, or quote unquote suffer, because you're actually not making them suffer when you do this. In fact, when you're eating them, the process of killing that cow is way quicker. They're not butchering it while it's alive and tearing it to shreds while it's alive like a pack of wolves. They're taking this little gun thing and they're basically hitting, like putting a bullet through its head. Like, this is way, way, way better. Like, why? I don't know. I don't know. It's like vegans in this case don't really understand the cycle of life. That's what I feel like. These people, this is the sad part. The vegans are the people probably with some of the most empathetic people, but they have absolutely no understanding of the cycle of life. So, well, I mean, it's like, I guess you could sort of say this: the mental faculties here are not as developed, and the mental faculties on this side are more developed. In my opinion, anyways, this is like a no-brainer. The arguments for this, it's so poor.
I can't have children if I don't have a period, so I became infertile. And do you know what the vegan community told me? That's fine. That's actually a sign of health, and that's totally normal. So
yeah, okay. So this is good job, Steak and Butter Gal. Good job. I'm gonna have to agree with her on this one. This is like, please point out the argument towards the other side, because it's so poor. The argument for the opposite side is so poor.
So I admit that there was a lot of misinformation and brainwashing going on for myself, and I'm speaking for myself. I can respectfully listen and understand your point of view. I was there myself, but my brain just opened up and I had to face, is it going to be my health, or is it going to save the animals no matter what?
Exactly. See, thank you. This is the argument that I said like a while ago. I'm like, guys, come on, stop talking about this argument of, hey, it's about saving the animals. It's about saving the animals. This is not about saving the animals, okay? This is about saving yourself. Okay, you ever hear the saying, help yourself before helping others? There's a reason why. Because if you don't help yourself, you can't help other people. I don't know, man. This is, thank you, Steak and Butter Gal. So well done.
At some point, you have to decide, is it worth sacrificing my health for a religious ideology?
I'm fully healthy. I think if you're an anomaly, there can be an exception to be made. But
You are not fully healthy. Okay, so just as an example to show you what I'm talking about, you can actually even see this a little right here because of the lighting, for that matter. You can see sort of the inflammation on the face. Do you see his little black, right? That's a shadow, okay? That means that this side is actually like puffy. That means that this cheek is puffy here. And near this jaw, it's actually not as puffy. Like, that's not normal, by the way, okay? This is like, you ever hear of like hollow cheeks, by the way, right? This is the exact opposite of hollow cheeks. This is sort of interesting. How to get unhollow cheeks? I never thought about that. You know, I want to make one of those YouTube video thumbnails or something like that. It's sort of funny.
I've been vegan for 13 years, vegetarian for 23 years, and I'm extremely healthy. I get blood work done yearly. I lift weights. I can run a mile in under 7 minutes. I mean, you're an anomaly, and I think that there are other anomalies in existence, but I don't see how you're one experience.
Okay, so she's making the argument that I'm healthy and I can run a mile under 7 minutes, therefore I am healthy. So just because you have some sort of athletic ability, athletic ability is not like a measurement of health. I don't know why people constantly are trying to make this argument. Athletic ability is not a measurement of health. Athletic ability is a measurement of how well your muscles have adapted to the outside stimulus that you have created for them. Okay. And actually, for that matter, doing cardio is extremely damaging. Like, this is one of the worst things you could possibly do, I think, in my opinion. And I know that might shock a lot of people, or that might sound extremely controversial. And there's a reason, because when you're doing okay, I'm going to explain a little bit of the science I explain everything in the Real Nutrition Science playlist if you're interested, and I explain everything in the min-maxing health playlist as well. So if you're interested in all the details behind everything that I'm talking about, you can go check out those playlists down below in my homepage, because they're all there. So yeah, or I even have the Real Nutrition Science playlist on my in the description down below if you're interested in that. So when it comes to exercise, this is actually cardio, in my opinion, is not healthy. And the reason is because what you're doing, when you're doing any exercise for that matter, it doesn't matter, is you're forcing tissue remodeling to occur. And the reason you're forcing this tissue remodeling to occur is because you're forcing this tissue remodeling to adapt to the current stresses of that environment. Now, in this case, when you're doing cardio, you're basically forcing the heart to pump more and more and more and more and more. And people say, that's a great thing, right? No, wrong. And the reason is because marathon runners, as an example, will die of, they sometimes have this instance where, it's recorded, by the way, this is all recorded, they will randomly just drop dead. And the reason they will randomly drop dead is because their heart, and the way their heart becomes, like physiologically speaking, is it gets too big. It gets way too big, in fact. And the reason it gets too big is because, once again, that tissue remodeling is occurring. And that tissue remodeling is what allows for that heart to expand bigger and bigger and bigger. And that actually decreases the capability and the function of the heart. And how does this happen? Well, the reason this happens is because, once again, exercise will cause tissue remodeling. And in the process, your body basically causes that inflammation within that sector or space, wherever that is. And whenever it basically causes that damage in that space, then lo and behold, in this case for your heart anyways, troponin is released. And when troponin is released, now that's basically, troponin is basically a measurement of how much damage has occurred to the heart, right? And this is, by the way, like I explained and show the resources and show the sources in my videos. So if you're interested, once again, you can check that all out. Troponin is released. Afterwards, you got some serious problems on your hands, because now that that's happening, that means that's causing the enlargement of the heart, which is why you see athletes, actually not just marathon runners for that matter, but athletes usually have enlargement of the heart, and this is not healthy. This is definitely not healthy. Now, I don't think this just applies to heart muscle. I think this applies to all muscle. Muscle is not there for you to just grow bigger, get bigger, and become like a fit, jacked bro, right? That's not the purpose of muscle. You can make that the purpose of muscle, but I don't think that's the function of muscle. The function of muscle, and the function of, for that matter, like the entire biological organism for that matter, is just adapt to its environment. So if a certain stressor is put on that biological organism will adapt to its environment. That's the whole point of the muscle. So if the muscle is saying, hey, I'm being forced to carry 50 pounds every day, make me adapted to this, make me adapted to this, make me adapted to this, then you're going to adapt to that. But that doesn't mean that carrying that 50 pounds every day is healthy. You're just getting the muscle that's required to be able to do that specific function, carry out that specific task. So once again, in my opinion, this is like actually, I'll give her credit. That was not an elementary school argument. In my opinion, it takes a lot more. That takes actually a lot of thought to. You have to sort of like really go against the grain to have the argument that I have. So I'll give her the congratulations. You at least have the mainstream argument here, where she says exercise is healthy and stuff, because that's basically the underlying premise that she's saying, and it's not.
I mean, we don't know what you're eating, how you're eating, how you were treating yourself in your day-to-day life.
I was eating a whole foods, plant-based diet. I was not even eating any processed vegan foods.
I don't
No
think
mock
there's anything wrong with
meats,
processed
just whole
vegan
foods.
You need to track your micronutrients, your macronutrients, your vitamins.
Yeah, see, this is what, okay. Macronutrients, first off, macronutrients are completely irrelevant if you're eating correctly. You don't need to even account for them because they don't exist. Exogenous carbohydrates is not a macronutrient, okay? You never need any exogenous carbohydrate. And just to give you an example, I am an example. You don't need any of them at all whatsoever, okay? So, argument completely invalid. There's a process called gluconeogenesis, okay? I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it turns out your body's really good at making its own carbohydrates. That's first. Second, micronutrients. Okay, if you don't already know, plants, when it comes to the micronutrient profile, is horrific. Like, it's so bad that you're going to get a nutrient. You're going to get a deficiency of some sort. Now, I don't necessarily know what deficiency this girl right here has, but I can guarantee you she does most likely have a deficiency of some sort. And that's because the way plants work when it comes to the vitamin and mineral interactions, which once again, if you're interested, you can check out the Real Nutrition Science playlist on the details. But when it comes to micronutrient profiles, they are so poor because if you don't already know how vitamin and mineral interactions will work, increasing one vitamin will also decrease another. And sometimes, in fact, increasing one will increase another. And there's this whole, it's sort of a balance kind of thing where there's this giant balance occurring over and over and over again. But the problem is that plants don't necessarily have this balance because they have such high amounts of one vitamin that it counteracts the absorption of another. So let me just give you an example. So let's say they have tons of, I don't know. Oh, not only that, actually, their bioavailability of that vitamin is like non-existent. So why do vegans go anemic, for instance, all the time? Well, it's because all of these vitamins and all of these minerals that are in plants all counteract the absorption of iron, as they usually, I mean, they counteract the absorption of a lot more things, but iron is specifically usually seeming to be one of them. So, for instance, if you eat tons and tons of spinach and kale, which are really high in oxalates, that oxalate can actually bind to iron and inhibit the absorption of the iron. Or for that matter, even phytates as another example. If you eat tons and tons of plants with phytates in them, they will bind and inhibit the minerals from being absorbed by your body. And that means that you can't absorb them. The plant is preventing you from absorbing them. And that's not good because you not being able to absorb them means, yeah, that's right, you become anemic. So that's a no bueno. You don't want that. Like, why would you do that, right? This is poor argument.
And we don't know what you're eating, how you were treating yourself in your day-to-day life.
I was eating a whole foods, plant-based diet. I was not even eating any processed vegan foods.
I don't
No
think
mock
there's
meats,
anything
just
wrong
whole
with
foods.
You need to check your micronutrients, your macronutrients, your vitamins.
So you're saying she didn't do it right?
I don't know.
Yeah, see? This, and then this guy's like, oh, wait a second. We don't want to buy into this one. Don't like, he's like, he knows this guy might be the smartest one out of all of them, even though he is, oddly enough, the one who put on clearly the most muscle. I think there's a chance he's the smartest one out of all of them because he's like, oh, don't go there, because you're going to lose the argument if you do. Because there's a lot of other vegans, by the way, who experience the exact same thing Steak and Butter Gal does, where they go, you know what, this just isn't seeming to work. I wonder why. Right, so.
No, she did. I can't see her history of what she was eating every day.
I'm sorry you had a bad experience and that you lost your period and that people weren't nice to you about it. But I think, like, I can't stand what's happening to the animals.
See, this is the argument of empathy and stuff. The arguments... once again, vegans are some of the most empathetic people, but they have no understanding of, like, there's a difference between taking care of yourself and taking care of others, and you have to take care of yourself first before you take care of others. So,
I've been to some of the darkest places on earth where these animals are tortured by the hundreds of thousands. And you were saying that you try to source local, and I get that, and I think it's great that you care about animals. I appreciate that a lot. But I think if you go to a slaughterhouse where all of these animals are killed, ultimately, regardless of where they're raised, there's nothing humane that happens there. Animals enter into a slaughterhouse as live animals, fearing for their lives, and they come out chopped up in pieces. Nothing.
Okay, they don't fear for their lives, I'm going to tell you right now, because they only fear in that moment. They don't fear for their lives, okay? When they walk in there, they have no idea what's going on. Like, if an alien were to take us into a quote-unquote alien slaughterhouse, we would have no idea what that looks like, okay? There would be probably lights and things all around. There'd be tons of humans there, and they'd be like, yo, what's going on? And be like, I have no idea. Right? So, like, no, okay? That's number one. And number two, actually, I guess we'll make the aliens argument again. If aliens really wanted to, and if they do exist out there, which, like, there's a lot of UFO stuff, and it could be true. I mean, there definitely seems to be evidence of UFOs, so I'm going to say there probably is, like, some sort of outsider species, or maybe, for that matter, could come from Earth. Who knows? Anyways, when it comes to this UFO stuff, if there were aliens out there, like, they have no quote-unquote ethical or moral reason. Like, if they want to, they could just wipe us out. They don't have to keep us alive. It doesn't sound nice to say, but they can do that. They have that option because their technology far surpasses ours. If you haven't seen, like, the the speed of which their things can go, some of these UFO stuff can go, is like, what the hell is this, right? So
Nothing humane happens along the way. Animal rights are just as important as human rights.
okay, so if you were, I'm gonna say right now, if you think that this is true, you have no understanding of basic philosophy. So animal rights aren't, and the reason, once again, I'm gonna say this, they can't comprehend responsibility. They have no sense of responsibility and no sense of accountability. So if that cat were to torture that mice, it doesn't get locked up and basically thrown into prison for animal cruelty. No, it doesn't. And the reason is because it can't comprehend that. It doesn't have the same responsibilities, and it doesn't have the same, basically, the ability to hold yourself accountable to that situation. Now you can't hold them accountable in the court of law as well. And once again, this is because they don't have the mental faculties to even comprehend what the hell is going on in the court of law. They have no understanding of any of this at all. So no, animal rights are not as important as human rights. This should be like a no-brainer.
It's strange for us to think that humans are somehow superior to non-human animals.
Are you kidding me?
Don't question whether
No way.
humans are somehow superior.
Guys, you're carnivore. Do you not understand this argument? Hello? Okay, put me on Jubilee. What is going on? Come on, this is a no-brainer. Animal rights are not as important as human rights. If they were, you're going... Oh my God. If they were, you're going to have some serious problems on your hands. Okay? Like, there is no... In the court of law, there's a difference between killing with malicious intent versus not killing with malicious intent. Like, animals can't comprehend the difference, okay? Like, if a bull runs you over, how do you know whether or not it's killing you out of malicious intent? It might just be killing you because you're in its way, or maybe because it thinks you're a threat. But it has no, once again, it has no ability to reason this stuff out. Like, here's a really great example. If we were, or well, not all of us, I guess not all humans would do this, but if we were to see an alien directly face to face, not every human is going to be like, kill that freaking alien, right? Not every human is going to have that reaction of like, oh my God, I'm terrified, I'm fearful, and now I'm going to try to kill it. Some of the humans are going to be like, hi there, how's it going? Right? So this is, I guess it depends on the human that you're meeting, right? If you're meeting a stupid human and a reactive human, then maybe you're going to, maybe poor alien, whoever that is, hopefully they don't end up dying. Poor alien will end up dying to stupid human. But if you're meeting like a human with the ability to reason and like calm themselves in that moment and actually comprehend the situation, they're not going to like kill the alien. They're going to actually, in fact, if anything, they'll be interested, right? So, yeah, my God, come on, guys, this argument is so poor.
Superior to non-human animals.
How are the carnivores siding with this? The carnivores don't even know this argument. Maybe Anvo does, apparently, because she's the only one who didn't sit down.
We don't question whether non-human animals can see. We don't question whether they can hear. But for some reason, we question whether they are sentient, whether they feel pain. And we question those things because it's convenient for us. Because
no, they feel pain, but they don't have the same things that we do, okay? Like, here's one of in fact, this is probably like the biggest blessing and curse for humans. Animals' ability of foresight is negligible, if not non-existent. Humans have foresight, which is like a good and a bad thing, because if you have foresight, that means that you can see the possible futures that await. And that's also a downside, because you can see the possible futures that await. So, like, you can see the possible outcomes of the good and the bad. And that's a detriment to some people, because they have so much, they're stuck in analysis paralysis mode, right? So that's like a good and a bad thing. I mean, it's good to have that foresight, but at the same time, having that foresight comes with the cost of having foresight and seeing also the bad possible outcomes as well. So this is, in my opinion, once again, this is like, no, animals do not have this level, this fear of, oh my God, I am in constant stress. They don't have the same response, okay? Because they can't. They don't have this ability of foresight. And they don't have taxes either.
Because it fits our narrative and it allows these corporations to profit off of their existence, or individuals to profit off of their existence. And I don't view animals as any different than humans. I think that we are all morally equal. And some of my best friends are non-human animals. I run an animal sanctuary, Happy Hen Animal Sanctuary.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. What can I say? I've already explained the argument. This is just, I guess this is just hearing stupid stuff speak right now. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Animals can't have the same rights. If they do, you're going to live in an absolute disastrous society. You need to make sure, at the very least, make that animal an animal-human hybrid, or make them an animal hybrid that's able to understand and have the mental faculties to be able to comprehend what they're doing. Otherwise, you can't. This is terrible. This is an absolute horrific idea. No.
Over 1,000 animals, and every single one of them is an individual. They have big personalities, and they love to explore, and they all have different favorite foods.
No. What? How does having a favorite food... What? Okay. I don't know. So I'm going to be honest on this argument of food. I think this argument of like having a favorite food is just your taste buds telling you what it wants and what it doesn't want. Like, it's not, hey, I enjoy this food because it tastes good. It's like, no, I want this food because my body's lacking in this right now. Please give me more of this. Or it, for that matter, it could be tricking you. And it could be like a trick sort of thing, which phytotoxins can inhibit taste receptors, I'm pretty sure, as well as gut bacteria. Certain gut bacteria will send signals to the brain. Well, actually, gut bacteria as a general rule do. And in turn, they can influence the neurotransmitters in this case. So if you have like carb craving gut bacteria, yeah, that's right, you're going to crave carbs. So I think that argument's pretty poor. Let's hear the other ones.
And every single one of them is an individual. They have big personalities. And
they have big personalities. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Tell me their big personalities. Like, this is no. Okay. No. Nah, you can't be real. Like, what's a big personality? Be specific, define, be more specific. It does not exist. Especially in animals.
Love to explore, and
they love to explore. Maybe that's because that's how they're designed. They can't override that mental... Like, the reason they explore is to know their environment and know when, if they run away, where they should run away. If anything. If they even have the brain capacity to comprehend such a task. Like, once again, poor arguments.
Have different favorite foods. One of the chickens who I rescued, he came from a factory farm. He kind of imprinted on me as a baby, and he was terrified to be left alone. And even if I left him with someone else, he would cry. He just wanted to be with me all the time.
Obviously. This is like, okay. You can't be real. Bro, if you leave a baby, if you leave this random newborn baby that got used to this person being its mother, and then you suddenly introduce another person as its mother, like, of course it's going to freak out at first. Huh? Kind of a question. Like, you tell a 3 or a 5-year-old this is your mother, and then now you just switch them over and it's like, oh, nope, that's your new mother. Like, a 3 or 5-year-old's gonna be like, hey, what the fuck's going on here? Like, something's wrong.
He would follow me everywhere. His name is Glenn, and I can't look at Glenn and love him any less than I love my human family, even though he's a chicken, and a lot of people think that's ridiculous, but I think a huge part of the issue...
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I'm going to say it as it is. Yeah, no, this is ridiculous.
...is that so many of us humans, we've distanced ourselves so much from non-human animals, and we need to reconnect with them and remind ourselves of their individuality and how important their lives are.
No. I mean, yes, I think that there is some level of, I guess you could say, connection that you should be able to have with the animals, but like they're not animals with big personalities, okay? Like I can't get out of my mind. Like, first, define big personality, and second, like this makes no sense. Animals having the same rights as humans. Holy crap. Oh, lack of basic philosophy understanding. I get I mean, this is why I reviewed Anvo, and I was like, oh my god, she's actually amazing. What is this? She seems to be able to have critical thinking skills, which clearly she does, because she's the only one who said no to this one.
I definitely agree with a lot of the sentiments that you have there. Where I come from is, when I approach at least veganism, ideologically, I do agree with the standpoint of respecting animals, right? It's, it's an individual, and I kind of make that same connection when it comes to hunting as well. And so, especially, you utilize like all.
Yeah, you don't take more than what you need. You use as much as you absolutely possibly can, and you do pay your respect.
And so that's.
I don't think that's the same as animals having the same rights as humans. Like, oh my god, these people are so stupid. I mean, I don't want to say that, but like, I have to, because if you make this argument here, animal rights are just as important as human rights, then the hunter is not allowed to hunt the animal without being thrown into jail. Like, do you not understand the word rights here? When you say rights, you're assuming, I'm assuming anyways, you're assuming that this is like coming in terms of law. Like, this is literally the law coming into play. So all of these people here will be thrown in jail if this statement were true. Like, hello, guys, why did you step up to this? Do you not understand the philosophical principle? This is like basic. This is very, very, this isn't even philosophical for that matter, now that I think about it. This is legal. This is no understanding of legal framework. Like, even I don't understand the legality stuff that much. But if you were to give animals the same rights as humans, well, now you've got a problem. Because if that animal dies under your hands, or for that matter, you're an accomplice, or you're even buying organs, right? Because technically speaking, their organs are the same, right? Legally speaking. So now you are an accomplice, or not only that, you are aiding and abetting. Like, no, guys, hello, please. What are you doing?
To the extent that I view it.
Oh my god.
I want to jump into and say that killing is in no way showing respect. When you kill an animal, it is not a way to pay your respects. I often think, how would I feel if I was suddenly taken away from my family and all I know of my wife is taken from me?
It's not a matter of disrespect. It's a matter of.
I really hope Anvo points this out. I pray to God Anvo points this out. Please, Anvo said what I. Please say what I said. Please.
Heritage. I'm sure you guys can relate to in some aspects. When you're raised a certain way, you continue that. If it works for you, you're healthy doing it, it's going to be what you continue to do. And I'm passing that on to my kids. They're going to pass it on to their kids. I've been out in the woods learning my trade and learning how to take care of the environment at the same time since I was 3 years old. It's not something that I take lightly. I'm out there because I do love the animals. I'm not out there I'm going to kill something. If you could go sit and count how many times I go out in the field and just sit there and look around and enjoy nature. And eventually, I might get to harvest my buck for the year.
I mean, I appreciate that that's not what it's about for you, but even like the way you're speaking about these animals, that you're going to harvest them, shows to me that there's some sort of disconnect there, that you're not, acknowledging them as the individuals.
No, it's not a disconnect at all. Every animal you look at is completely unique, and that's.
At the very least, okay, so here's what I will say. All these carnivores who stepped up here, I'm going to say, like, I don't really think they're that smart. This is like, to say that, to be in favor of this argument, yet eat carnivore is like, guys, come on, use your brain. Okay, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Ugh, jeez. Anvo, please, Anvo, please, redeem them. You are absolutely amazing. Last time I reviewed you, please, God, show the fact that you can prove this statement wrong.
It's really cool. It's amazing. But at the same time, there's a food chain. If we're out in Africa and come on a pride of lions, you think they're not going to eat your ass?
But you have, I assume you hunt with a gun.
I hunt with a gun, a bow, camera,
So-
my eyes, whatever. I need
So, but you have weapons, and you use those weapons to kill the animal, right?
to. Ultimately, yeah.
Like when you're talking about this supposedly natural food chain, like lions don't have weapons.
Yeah, they do. They've got a bunch of them on either
Sure,
side.
they're
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course they have weapons. Like, what are you talking about? The only difference between the way we kill or humans kill and the way other animals kill is other animals have literally evolved that specific way of killing. Humans evolved the way of using tools to kill. So we might not use an axe, we might use a sword, or we might use a mace, or we might use a bow and arrow, or we might use a gun. Yeah, I mean, there's like many ways we can kill. So, all right. Anyways, hope you guys found this one interesting. So that was vegans and meat eaters part 2, I guess. I'll probably do a part 3. Honestly, this is pretty long. These are pretty long, but I think there are some things that are pretty important here for people to understand, because Jubilee will probably point out some other arguments that in my opinion, I think they're just like unbelievable. Like the fact that they're carnivores and they're saying animals' rights are the same than human rights. No, they're not the same, because if they are, you're going to jail for what you're doing. Guys, hello. Like what the lack of where did this come from? Guys, come on. Anyways, frustrates me. Once again, thanks for watching. If you're interested in all the details behind all of the information that I said, or the scientific information anyways, go check out the Min-Maxing Health playlist and the Real Nutrition Science playlist found under my homepage. I explain everything there, and I mean everything in a lot of detail, in such excruciating detail sometimes that, in fact, for that matter, some things are quite contradictory to what you've been taught. For instance, like exercise being healthy. I don't think it is, no. Or maybe even showering being hygienic. No, it's not either. And I explain the science behind that as well. Explain the science behind every single one of those things. So yeah, go check that out. Once again, thanks for watching. I think that'll be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.